I've been recently talking a lot with John Danaher from Brazilian Jiu Jitsu fame. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
In fact,
Talk about somebody who's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
And he, speaking of somebody who's open-minded, the reason doing this ridiculous transition is for the longest time, and even still, a lot of people believed in the jiu-jitsu world and grappling world that leg locks are not effective in jiu-jitsu. And he was somebody that inspired by the open-mindedness of Dean Lister, who famously to him said, why do you only consider half the human body when you're trying to do the submissions? He developed an entire system on this other half of the human body. Anyway, I do that absurd transition to ask you, because you're also a student of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is there something you could say how that has affected your life, what you've learned from grappling, from the martial arts?
Well, it's actually a great transition, because I think one of the things that's so beautiful about jiu-jitsu is that it does what we wish we could do in every other area of life, where we're talking about this difference between knowledge and ignorance, right? Like there's no room for bullshit, right? You don't get any credit for bullshit. There's the difference, but the amazing thing about jiu-jitsu is that the difference between knowing what's going on and what to do and not knowing it is as the gulf between those two states is as wide as it is in anything in human life, and it can be spanned so quickly. Like you didn't. Each increment of knowledge can be doled out in 5 minutes. It's like, here's the thing that got you killed, and here's how to prevent it from happening to you, and here's how to do it to others, and you just get this amazing cadence of discovering your fatal ignorance and then having it remedied with the actual technique. And I mean, for people who don't know what we're talking about, it's just like the simple circumstance of, like, someone's got you in a headlock. How do you get out of that? Right? Someone's sitting on your chest, and they're in the mount position, and you're on the bottom, and you want to get away. How do you get them off you? They're sitting on you. Your intuitions about how to do this are terrible, even if you've done some other martial art, right? And once you learn how to do it, the difference is night and day. It's like you have access to a completely different physics. But I think our understanding of the world can be much more like jiu-jitsu than it tends to be, right? And I think we should all have a much better sense of when we should tap out and when we should recognize that our epistemological arm is barred and now being broken, right? Yeah. Now, the problem with debating most other topics is that most people, it isn't jiu-jitsu, and most people don't tap out, right? They don't, even if they're wrong, even if it's obvious to you they're wrong, and it's obvious to an intelligent audience that they're wrong, people just double down and double down, and they're either lying to themselves, or they're bluffing. And so you have a lot of zombies walking around, or zombie worldviews walking around, which have been disconfirmed as emphatically as someone gets armbarred, right? Or someone gets choked out in jiu-jitsu. But because it's not jiu-jitsu, they can live to fight another day, right? Or they can pretend that they didn't lose that particular argument.